Hello， 大家好，现在是睡衣直播了，我正，因为刚开始准备睡觉的时候，总想起忘了点啥事儿，突然想起来，是星舰的发射我没看，于是我就匆忙捅开电脑，试图在 B 站上直播，结果发现呢网速太慢，直播不了，所以我就懒得换衣服了，直接给大家录一段，看看星舰的这次发射的情况啊。这是星舰的Starbase 的这个发射基地的现场的这个视频，当时啊，可以看到当时这个加入燃料之后啊，已经开始做发射准备了。那么 SpaceX 啊，可能好多朋友也都知道啊，就是亿万富豪伊隆马斯克他创立的航天公司，致力于推动太空探索的这个低成本就降低航天的成本。那在 SpaceX 的很多计划中呢，星舰计划就 Starship 是其中最引人注目的一项。那这个计划呢，他就想开发一个庞大而多功能的宇宙飞船，就叫 Starship，用于实现人类所谓多星球化的这么一个愿景。所以这个宇宙飞船被设计成能够运送宇航员和货物到月球、火星以及更远的这个目标。那实际上呢，在星舰的核心的技术就是发动机其实就是星舰的一级火箭发动机技术。所以你要想了解这个星舰计划呢，我们首先得看一下它的一级火箭发动机，就是它的猛禽的这个引擎。那 Raptor 呢 ，SpaceX 自主研发的液体燃料火箭引擎采用的是甲烷和液氧作为燃料。那它的独特之处在于它的高推力和高效率。还有环保，这使得星舰能够在太空中呢是更为灵活的进行各种任务。那这台引擎它的开发标志呢是 SpaceX 在航天技术上的一项重大的突破，为实现它的重复使用的这种太空飞行提供关键的这个技术支撑点。同时呢，这个 Raptor 引擎采用的呢也是未来星际的所谓可持续发展，把这个太空旅行变得更经济和可行绿色环保。那在过去SpaceX 进行过一系列的令人瞩目的星舰发射。我在今年4月份星舰的那次发射的时候也想直播，没直播成今年4月份呢，吸引了全球的这个关注但是呢，那次发射在起飞后大概不到4分钟，它就以失败告终，火箭在升空过程中就发生了爆炸那当然这个挫折呢并没有让 SpaceX 停止，相反呢它成了它进行改进的这么一个契机。在过去的发射历程中SpaceX 是不断的这种迭代积累经验，从每次失败中汲取教训，致力于呢提高它的Starship 的可靠性和性能。所以这些经验的积累呢就为今后的这种探索之旅奠定了坚实的基础。所以今年稍早的时候呢，4月份SpaceX 进行了一系列的这个星舰发射，测试和完整的这个就去完善这个星舰的性能，包括一些静态的发动机的测试。虽然一些早期的这个尝试测试并不太完美，但是它确实为那个公司就是积累了很多的这个就是数据验证了很多的这个数据，当然也验证了这个发动机的可靠性，为星舰未来的这个长途飞行奠定基础。那其中还是有2次比较成功的星舰就是舰体的这个单独的着陆的一次是着陆之后站住了，一次着陆之后又爆炸了就是单那个橡皮头是能降落的。那这次发射呢是就是刚刚过去的这次发射呢，算是基本达到目标了Starship 呢，就是打造了这个一个超级火箭加一个星舰，然后呢，希望进行一次飞越大气层的这么一个测试。那这次测试的过程中这个 Super Heavy 的一级助推器呢是成功分离，但是在分离后不久在墨西哥湾上空就发生爆炸。那核心的这个 Starship 助推器呢继续飞行。那几分钟后呢 SpaceX 的这个任务控制突然失去了和飞行器之间联系。现在还在等待这个数据的消息，看起来是爆炸了也有可能 那么在未来啊，这个大家知道，在过去猎鹰火箭的发射是经历了也接近10次的这么一个失败甚至马斯克已经到了弹尽粮绝的地步。在很多中国的网文穿越小说里边 ，SpaceX 啊，包括马斯克都是被中国穿越的网友拯救的。在现实中啊 ，SpaceX 包括马斯克不需要中国网友的拯救，他活过来了，并且呢，作为世界上最成功的商业火箭发射公司缔造了他的这个Starlink 这个星链的帝国。那么现在呢，是他第2个太空探索的一个冲击就是要搞 Starship。所以这次发射呢，虽然也是遭到了挫折，但是 SpaceX 还是对星舰计划是充满信心的他们公司在发射后强调通过这样的测试呢，能够从中学到很多的东西，并不断改进星舰的可靠性。那 SpaceX 他们成功的关键就是在不断的挑战极限，不断的迭代，最终呢实现太空探索目标他们现在呢是在走猎鹰火箭发射的路子，希望 Starship 就是一个 super heavy 火箭，是一个铅笔杆，上面再带一个橡皮头 Starship， 希望经过几次迭代之后能够成功。那这次是第2次合体之后的发射失败了这是发射的情况。下边我就不说了，让大家完整的看一下它发射的情况。
Chambers pressure nominal.
We are T plus 40 seconds into the flight of Starship. 33 Raptor engines powering the first stage.
Power and telemetry nominal.
We've heard power and telemetry nominal call out. We're heading downrange over the Gulf of Mexico. And that call out tells us Starship is through the period of greatest stress on the way to space. Now the next major event is hot staging in just over 90 seconds from now. To get ready, the booster will shut down all but 3 of the Raptor engines. Clamps holding the 2 stages together will release, and the Starship's second stage will ignite its engines. Starship will then separate from the Super Heavy booster and head to space. And at the same time, the 3 engines that are still firing on Super Heavy will flip the booster around. 10 more engines will ignite for the boost back burn, putting the first stage on path for a splashdown in the Gulf of Mexico. Engine power continues to look nominal on 33 Raptor engines. We're about to shut down the first stage and perform staging. Let's watch and listen.
And acquisition of signal Houston and New Orleans.
Booster engine cut off. Stage separation.
Boost bank startup. Ship engine ignition.
You're hearing the cheering. The first ever successful hot stage for SpaceX's Starship.
Incredible views of our super heavy booster. And as you can see, the super heavy booster has just experienced a rapid, unscheduled disassembly. However, our ship is still underway with
Ship
all
avionics,
six.
power and telemetry nominal.
And we just heard there, ship avionics, power and telemetry nominal. All 6 engines are lit, as you can see from the GUI there at the bottom right-hand side of your screen. Now, we did know that that hot staging was going to be incredibly dynamic. We knew that there was a chance that the booster would not survive, but we're going to take that data and figure out how we can make the booster better for the next hot stage.
Yeah, that hot staging put a lot of load on the top of the booster, and of course it flipped around there, a lot of dynamic stuff happening. But ship is still going strong.
And it's doing great. Right now, the ship, the second stage, is on its way. Like we said, you can see all 6 of its engines are ignited. The next major milestone for the ship will be the shutdown of those engines, or SECO, second engine cutoff, which if you follow our Falcon 9 launches, familiar terminology there. So far, today has been incredibly successful, even with the RUD of the Super Heavy booster. This is amazing.
Primary objective of the booster today, to get to hot staging, to get ship on its way to orbit. It did that admirably.
Yeah, we definitely asked.
Starship trajectory nominal.
All right, great news there. That trajectory for ship
Acquisition
is
of
nominal.
signal Cape Canaveral.
Once again, Starship's second stage. It's firing those engines. And as you just heard, everything's looking good. Now, for the ship, we wanted it to survive hot staging, which, as you can see there by that little dot on your screen, it did. We also want to basically demonstrate that the successful startup of those engines, demonstrating controlled ascent, which is what it's doing right now, and eventually orbital insertion. We are hoping to basically send this around the Earth, and if it makes it this far, splash down in the Pacific Ocean, a couple hundred miles north of Hawaii. Now, if we get that far, like, all of that sounds great. Secondary objectives for ship, again, continuing to gather engine data and about its health, performance.
Nominal ship chamber pressures.
Great news there. That tells us that the chamber pressures inside of the Starship, again, that's that small dot on your screen, basically the propellant pressures in the ship are looking good.
Yeah, the bottom right corner of your screen, you can see essentially a user interface showing us which engines are lit. So the 3 center sea-level Raptor engines on ship are gimbaling engines. The 3 outer engines in the triangle, the larger ones, are Raptor vacuum engines. All of them continuing to fire nominally. So they're at the pressures that we expect to try to get into our target trajectory today.
Yeah.
And we're not targeting orbit today. We're targeting almost orbit today. That's very intentional as part of the mission design. The goal is to get to a thrust profile similar to what we would need for orbit, but also to get to the energy levels that the ship would need to dissipate for re-entry. And so we're actually going in a suborbital trajectory today, but that trajectory will get us to the energy levels that we need at reentry, where we can really stress that heat shield and get valuable data on reentry. And those calls that we are still on a nominal trajectory here and seeing nominal pressures means that we have a really good shot of hitting our target orbit.
Yeah. Now, if the booster had survived, we would be around the time where it would be getting ready to land, performing its re-entry, but it unfortunately did not survive. That being said, that's okay. It survived several seconds after hot staging, so we're going to take that data and improve the hot staging sequence and probably improve the hardware itself for the next flight.
They're standing by for a call out here. Coming up on the projected time that ship would shut down its engines.
As you can tell by the excitement from the crowd here at Mission Control Center in Hawthorne, there's a great view of our Star Command Center. That's our control center at Starbase, Texas. The crowd here, Mission Control Center behind us in Hawthorne. Everyone is super exciting. What a successful day this has been so far.
And I mean, up to this point, major successful milestones through hot staging, which was the big objective today. So we are going to head into the coast phase, planned for the next about hour and 5 minutes. We'll be returning around the T+1 hour and 15-minute mark. And that's while we're waiting for Starship to continue on to its next step for reentry. We're not totally sure what video we're going to get, and that video comes normally by overflying ground stations, but we don't have a ton along our flight path. So fingers crossed that we will get some via Starlink on this mission since we're testing that out. And also give us a moment. We are hearing some chatter on the net, so we're going to try to parse that for you.
John Innsbrucker back here in Hawthorne at our webcast desk. We have lost the data from the second stage. We had heard a call out that we were internal guidance, which means we were getting near the end of the approximately 6-minute burn of Starship. But we haven't gotten any more data since then, so we think we may have lost the second stage. So we would not be into coast phase. We wouldn't be able to come back in an hour or so and possibly get ready for reentry. However, what we do know right now is we had an on-time launch at 7 o'clock. We got through the boats. First stage looked beautiful with 33 Raptor engines firing. We got the hot staging, you know, the thing that we really wanted to see and impressed. We saw the separation. We saw the flip maneuver. We saw the light up of the 6 Raptor engines on Starship, and it headed away. Everything really looked good. But what we do believe right now is that the automated flight termination system on second stage appears to have triggered very late in the burn as we were headed